Hey, there's the little Nimrod.
There's two of you?
Oh, you must be Aaron's kidnapper.
Why is there two of you?
I'm post-recording Aaron. Once Aaron's done with recording, I handle all the editing and stuff. So why'd you bring him back so early? Weren't we supposed to pay a ransom or something?
This guy will not shut the f*** up about the Wii!
Yeah, he does that.
I just thought, hey, look at this fucker wearing a Pokemon shirt. I mean, look at him. He looks like an easy enough snatch up. But no, he just kept talking about the Wii. Fucking I tried to make a quick buck, and he will not shut the f*** up. I mean, listen to this shit.
I just think the direction I took with the Wii... Hey, can you cool it with the cursing? You know I have to censor every curse word, right? Can't you hear the bleeps?
What? Just screw you.
That's the spirit. Does anyone want to play the Wii right now?
You say Wii one more time.
Did someone mention the Wii?
Nick Graysley from Trovenick.
I thought I locked that window.
That is me.
Is that Nick Graysley from Trovenick? Oh my god, I think it is Nick Graysley from Trovenick. Who the f*** is Nick Graysley from Trovenick?
What are you doing here?
Well, I was out looking for pixies, right? And I overheard Aaron mention he has a Wii.
You like the Wii?
Oh yeah, I used to have one, then I gave it to some homeless guy.
Aww.
What is with you people and your obsession with Wiis?
I liked Wii Bowling.
They have a nice aftertaste.
I just like talking about them.
I mean, you should give it a try. It has Wii boxing in it.
Do you like boxing? Takes me back to my prison days.
Wait, didn't you kidnap me like a year ago?
Alright, I'll give this thing a shot.
Alright then, you guys can go ahead and f*** around on my Wii, and then I'll start talking about it. I'll start the editing.
Alright, I gotta take a shit, so...
I'll join you.
The Wii, whether you love it or hate it, you cannot deny the impact that it had on the gaming industry. Everyone and their mother had one of these things. The Wii was a console known for bringing in people who didn't typically play video games. This meant that everyone, including your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your girlfriend, the jocks, the white bitches, basically anyone you thought would never be caught dead with a video game controller in their hand has probably owned or at the very least played a Wii at one point. It was a weird time to be alive, especially as a Nintendo fan. Keep in mind, the Wii was the successor to the Nintendo GameCube, which was their worst-selling home console at that point, clocking in at 21 million units sold. The name Nintendo was beginning to fade away from households, so to have them come back swinging with a 101 million unit selling juggernaut was insane. Nintendo became a household name again. It suddenly wasn't shameful anymore to tell people you were a Nintendo fan because, to a certain degree, everyone was a Nintendo fan. Most people loved the Wii. Most people. You see, Nintendo's approach this generation was to attract the people who didn't traditionally play video games, aka the general consumer, aka the... How did they go about doing this? Let's talk about it. When the Wii was first being conceptualized by the good folks over at Nintendo, the general idea was that instead of focusing on power, they wanted to focus on a new way of player interactivity. They didn't think that it was possible to have several consoles on the market trying to one-up each other in terms of power. The Wii had to bring something new and exciting to the table. Nintendo President Satoru Iwata specifically instructed the manager of Nintendo's Integrated Research and Development Division, Genyo Takeda, to go off the tech roadmap with this one, but to still make it appealing to mothers. Again, trying to rope in the non-gamers. This is probably as good of a time as any to talk about the strategy that Nintendo would use to try to capture the non-gaming crowd. The Blue Ocean Strategy. The Blue Ocean Strategy meant that Nintendo would focus strongly on casual play by creating a console and new games that were simple and easy for people who have never played a video game to understand, and also lower the barrier for entry on their already established franchises like Mario and Zelda. There would be content for their more hardcore crowd, but they no longer had Nintendo's undivided attention. This would go on to bless and curse the Wii's game library. Some of the first details were revealed about the console during E3 2004, where it held the codename Nintendo Revolution. Revolution it sure was. Nintendo President Satoru Iwata didn't share too much about the console. He said that he could reveal technical specifications on the console, but he wasn't going to because they simply didn't matter. This mindset defined the Wii's entire existence. raw technical power does not matter. During E3 of 2005, Iwata was still holding back the main draw of the console, but did show the design of the console by holding it over his head, showing everyone the thing that was supposed to revolutionize the gaming industry. It wasn't until September of 2005 at the Tokyo Game Show that the Nintendo Revolution's main catch was shown, and it was that it was able to control games through motion control capabilities. The Wii Remote and Nunchuck were unveiled in all their glory, and people's minds began racing with the possibilities. In April 2006, the codename was finally lifted. Nintendo Revolution? Psh, what a dumbass name, right? We're gonna call it the Nintendo Wii. Nope, not even Nintendo Wii. The official name was simply Wii. The Wii is supposed to be like Wii, as in the console is supposed to be for everyone, not just gamers. A lot of people weren't on board with this name, preferring the codename instead, but in the words of Nintendo themselves, I don't give a shit. Against all criticisms, they stuck with the name Wii. E3 2006. The Wii was available for press demonstration and a few launch titles were announced. Finally, on September 19th, 2006, the Wii was unleashed upon North America with a $250 price tag.
I'm recording right now!
Japan got their hands on it on December 2nd, 2006, and Europe received it on December 8th.
So where's this Wii I've heard so much about?
I don't know. We're gonna have to ask Aaron.
Isn't he recording right now?
It's fine. I'm sure he won't mind. Hey Aaron, where's your Wii?
I'm recording right now!
He said he's recording right now.
Yeah, I heard.
You guys looking for the Wii?
Didn't you say we're gonna go edit the episode?
I already did. Tons of continuity errors, by the way. But now I'm here, in the episode.
That is so meta.
Wait, what? Whatever. I don't even know what the damn thing looks like. So what are we looking for here?
Oh man, it is a thing of beauty. It looks like this.
There it is. Man, what a good looking console. So sleek.
How did you do that?
Editing magic.
Editing magic?
I use Adobe Premiere Elements. It's not the most advanced thing in the world, but it gets the job done.
It does get the job done. And it's a one-time payment.
Is that us?
Anyways, you want to check this thing out?
You know it. Man, this thing looks so good.
The design is pretty stellar, isn't it? Segways.
The Wii was one sleek looking piece of hardware. It's quite small compared to most other consoles out there. It was designed with efficiency in mind, so it didn't take up much space, which is something not all consoles can say about themselves. It was also very efficient in terms of power consumption, making it more appealing to parents. The console launched with a white design, but later you could pick up a black one. Later iterations included a family edition, which sat horizontally and was stripped of GameCube backwards compatibility, and at the very end of the console's life, a Wii Mini was released, which was smaller and neutered not only its backwards compatibility, but also its internet connectivity. Did I mention the base model Wii is backwards compatible? This right here is the first Nintendo home console to have this feature, making it one of only two in total, the other being the Wii U supporting Wii games. On the top of the console you'll find 4 ports for GameCube controllers, which also supported certain other accessories, and 2 memory card slots. On the front of the console you'll find your standard power, reset, and eject buttons, and behind this little cover you'll find the sync button for the Wii Remote and an SD card slot. On the back you got your power connection, video output, sensor bar port, and 2 USB ports. In terms of technical power, the Wii could best be described as a slightly souped up GameCube. It has roughly twice the processing power of the GameCube, which may sound like a lot, but in reality, generational leaps between consoles are typically many more times powerful than the previous system. For example, the PS3 was over 30 times more powerful than the PS2. This means that the Wii was still basically an entire generation behind its competition, the Xbox 360 and the aforementioned PS3. It needed just enough processing power to fulfill Nintendo's vision of using motion controls to interact with games. The Wii's motherboard featured a Wi-Fi chip this time around. The GameCube did technically offer internet functionality, but it was very limited and you had to buy a broadband adapter to gain the feature. Only 8 games supported it and Nintendo didn't offer any servers. It was up to the publisher to manage anything internet related. With the Wii, you had internet connectivity right out of the box, and Nintendo embraced the feature a lot more. You could also buy a LAN adapter that you plug into one of the USB ports if you wanted to connect to an Ethernet network. And that is a rundown of the console itself, but what do you control it with? Considering Nintendo knocked it out of the park with the GameCube controller, the Wii controller has gotta be even more advanced and innovative, right? It's complicated. The Wii Remote, sometimes unofficially nicknamed the Wiimote, does a lot right, and a lot not so right. In terms of abiding by the Blue Ocean strategy, it's genius. The Wii Remote closely resembles a TV remote, making it easily understandable to anyone with a TV, and luckily there's a lot of overlap between people who own a TV and people that own a Wii. As someone that spent the vast majority of their life playing video games, it can be easy to forget how complicated this looks to people that have never picked up a controller before. So modeling the Wii Remote after your standard TV remote is absolutely brilliant. The main controller has a big fat A button, D-pad, B button which also functions as a trigger, plus and minus, 1 and 2, a power button. It also had a little speaker in the middle and 4 LEDs at the bottom to let you know what player you were. Taking the back off the controller, we'll see that the Wiimote takes 2 AA batteries, and let me tell ya, I've lost track of the amount of times I almost lost my life for stealing batteries from the TV remote to play Mario Galaxy 2. There's also a red sync button for pairing the Wii Remote. Possibly the most important part of the Wii Remote was the IR sensor at the tip, which enabled the pointer function. By harnessing the power of the included sensor bar, you simply point at the TV to move the cursor and press the A button to select something. Super easy to grasp concept. Some games have a pointer function built into them. That's all the buttons on the Wiimote itself. For the games that need more advanced controls, you simply plug in the nunchuck, giving you access to an analog stick and 2 extra buttons. The nunchuck also has motion controls, but they were 100% not as good as the Wii Remote. Speaking of which, the design of the Wii Remote also works perfectly with the Wii's main gimmick, the motion controls. Swinging this thing around just feels so natural. Imagine swinging a standard controller designed in Wii Sports Bowling, it just wouldn't feel right. The standard Wii Remote didn't have super advanced motion sensing on its own, since it only used an accelerometer, so some games require the Wii Motion Plus, which adds a gyroscope, making the controls much more precise. The Wii Remote works fantastic for games that are built around motion controls, but it's when you get to the more traditional games that you'll start to see the shortcomings. First of all, the Wii Remote doesn't even have an analog stick on its own. You have to attach a nunchuck to get one and only one, compared to other consoles that have had a twin stick design for 2 generations at this point. The Wii Remote also had less easily accessible buttons than the competition. I'm mainly talking about the 1 and 2 buttons here. You better hope nothing important is mapped to these buttons because they can be a bitch to get to. Lastly, some of the games that were supposed to be targeted more towards the core Nintendo crowd ended up being infested with motion controls. Some of them work well, like in Super Mario Galaxy when you shake the Wii Remote to do a spin attack. And then there's... Skyward Sword is what is considered by many the worst 3D Zelda, and a big part of that is due to the heavy reliance on motion controls, which didn't work for a lot of people. Some Nintendo fans were furious that one of their precious core franchises was tainted by this control method, but I won't take part in this discussion because I haven't played Skyward Sword yet. It's on my bucket list somewhere, I'm sure I'll get to it eventually. The Wii kinda sorta fucked up the controls for a few Nintendo core franchises, but it also elevated quite a few of them. The first that always comes to mind for me is the Metroid Prime series. I cannot go back to playing on a GameCube controller after playing it with a Wii remote. Pointing the remote at the TV to aim makes it way more accurate. Shooters in general just work so well with it. Pikmin is another series that controls better on Wii, again because aiming is so much better. Some of the best uses of motion controls are the ones where they aren't mandatory, like in Mario Kart Wii where you can tilt the controller as if you were steering a car, or you can just use a traditional button setup. Overall, the Wiimote is a bit of a mixed bag. Some games are played best with this controller, while others could have done without all the motion control nonsense. If this whole setup isn't for you, you might be more interested in some of the other controllers. The Wii Classic controller is a more traditional feeling controller that has a decent amount of games that support it. It had all 4 face buttons, 4 rear buttons, and most importantly, dual analog sticks. Most Wii games were designed with one analog stick in mind, so this probably wasn't super useful, but it's still cool that it's here. There were some drawbacks to this controller, mainly being no rumble and motion control support. You also had to have this thing plugged into a Wii remote in order for it to work, and I never figured out why they didn't have a completely wireless version that connected straight to the console. At least stripping it of these features kept the price down. This thing only cost you $20. If this controller isn't hardcore enough for you, Nintendo also released a little something for us professionals called the Classic Controller Pro. The main difference is obviously the 2 thighs for a more grippable design, but there were little tweaks here and there like more space between the analog sticks for more comfort, and proper trigger buttons. And then there's the weird shit like the Wii Balance Board. This device of pure malice was used for more fitness-oriented games, such as Wii Fit and Wii Fit Plus, and came bundled with said games. Its sole purpose in life? telling you how undesirable you are as a mate.
You son of a bitch! You son of a bitch!
The Wii balance board is able to track the player's center of balance and can also weigh you as long as you don't weigh over 330 pounds. Sorry, Discord mods. You might think that this was another one of Nintendo's weird little peripherals that everyone forgot about moments after its release, but weirdly enough, that didn't happen here. There were actually quite a large selection of games that supported it, and actually ended up selling over 42 million units. Keep in mind the Wii sold 102 million units, so a very large portion of the Wii's audience had one of these things, mainly the midlife crisis moms. And that should cover everything on the hardware side of things, including the system itself and the controllers. So let's turn this thing on and see what's in store for us on the inside.
What's wrong with this damn thing? Why won't it turn on?
Don't you have to at least plug it in?
That was a good one. Plug it in.
What if you tried hitting it really hard? Are you kidding me?
I like the way you think, Nick. I keep this bat here just for situations like this.
Yes.
I guess.
This brings us to the home menu. This is a much more robust looking home screen than the GameCube one. The GameCube was neat in its own little way, it was simple and to the point. But look at all this stuff, there's so much to talk about. All the applications you see are called Wii Channels. They're set up in a 4x3 grid and could be arranged in any way you like by dragging them with the A and B button. I always stick with the default setup: Disc, Me, Photo, Wii Shop, Forecast, and News Channel in that exact order, but feel free to personalize it however you'd like. You don't have to go with the default setup, I won't be too upset. At the bottom left corner you'll find the settings, and at the bottom right corner you'll find the Wii message board. This was a way of sending messages to your friends through the Wii. This is what sliding into DMs in the year 2006 looked like, kids. I never sent any messages as a kid. Me and my friends were too stupid to know how to do this. Also, I'd imagine this was one of the many features blocked by parental controls, thanks Dad. This meant that the Wii message board for me was a way of tracking playtime for the day, and getting notified about certain achievements I got in games, such as stamps in Wii Sports Resort. Let's dive into the channels themselves now. The first is the disc channel. This was where you would go after inserting your, you guessed it, discs into the console, and you would get this fun little splash screen with some music or a sound effect. Not much to say here, it's simply a game launcher. The Me channel is up next, the legendary avatar creator that was one of the most simple yet advanced at the same time. This channel was a game all by itself. I remember as a kid, me and my sisters and my friends would pour so much time into the Me channel, creating Miis of our family, friends, pets, fictional characters, or just seeing how ridiculous we could make a Me look. 2 sentences ago, I called the Me channel simple yet advanced, and what I meant by that was, Nintendo did an excellent job streamlining the avatar creating experience. Anyone can create a Me, but it's advanced because there are so many options for creating these guys. No matter what you look like, you can probably create a Me that looks pretty damn close to you. Come on, you can literally create the goddamn Kool-Aid Man with this. The Me channel can do anything. There were no other avatar creators quite like it. The Miis you created were supported in so many games, whether it just be a save file icon or being a playable character in a game. You could also see them in the background of some games. Next is the Photo channel. During the Wii and Wii U generation of consoles, Nintendo liked to stock their home menus with these little extra goodies that the consoles didn't need, but they were always welcome. The 3DS had stuff like Face Raiders and AR games. The Wii U had a dumb but kinda fun little video chat app. I kinda miss the days when Nintendo loaded their consoles with these fun little extra apps. The Switch's home screen has nothing. But anyways, the Photo channel is a way of viewing photos or videos from an SD card or phone on your TV, which was a pretty amazing feature back in 2006. That was a common thing during the Wii generation, being able to do stuff on your TV that wasn't possible before, such as looking at pictures or surfing the internet, which we'll talk about later. The Photo channel wasn't just a way to look at photos, no. You could also edit photos by adding these little fun effects and filters, use the doodle feature to draw and add stickers, you can use your pictures to do puzzles. The Photo channel is a lot of fun. The Wii Shop channel was Nintendo's first ever digital storefront for downloading other Wii channels, Wii Shop exclusive games called WiiWare, and Virtual Console games spanning from NES to N64. It also had some other stuff like Genesis and Neo Geo games. It didn't have any of the big Wii releases like Mario Galaxy or Twilight Princess, it wasn't that kind of shop. It was just for smaller stuff. The Wii Shop channel used its own form of currency called Wii Points. 1 USD equaled 100 Wii Points. No one really knows why Nintendo and other companies used a system like this for buying digital games, My best guess would be that they wanted to give the illusion that you weren't spending real money to make you buy more stuff. But it was a simple enough system. Divide the number of Wii points by 100 and boom, that's how much money it is. I never had a problem with it. The Wii Shop channel was also a way of downloading updates for games. Sort of. Back in 2011, a game-breaking bug was found in Skyward Sword. Since doing a traditional update for your game wasn't possible with the Wii's infrastructure, Nintendo had you download an entire channel to patch the game. This would tamper with your save data and squash the bug. It was either this or sending your entire Wii to Nintendo. I don't know about you guys, but every time the solution to the problem is send your console into the company, I always respond with a nice hearty f**k that. Hopefully you had access to the internet. You'll also be needing the internet to access the Forecast channel. This was a way of checking the weather for anywhere in the world. I remember as a kid, for whatever reason, this was the channel I was most excited to use when we finally got our Wii connected to the internet. I spent way too much time on this as a 6-year-old. There was also the News channel, a way of staying up to date on the latest news. I used this one way less than the Forecast channel, but I still was fascinated by it for some reason. I think a lot of it came down to me only having the PS2 before the Wii, so having a game console that could do all this extra stuff like check the weather and the news was magical as a kid. And that covers all the pre-installed channels on your Wii, but there are some extra ones that can be downloaded through the Wii Shop channel, one of which being the Internet channel. The Internet channel was a way of surfing the web on your TV through the Wii. Again, this was one of the things that was really cool to be able to easily do back in the day. Remember when watching YouTube videos on your TV was such a novelty? The Internet channel originally cost you 500 Wii points, or $5, but it was later made free because paying for a web browser is against the 11th commandment. People that paid for the channel were later refunded their Wii points. The Internet channel wasn't a very powerful web browser, but it let you load basic websites and, like I said, could load YouTube. That's enough about the Internet channel because we have to talk about the Nintendo channel. This channel was fantastic for me as a kid. It was a way of keeping up with the latest Nintendo news with trailers on upcoming hardware and games. You see, I got my Wii when I was 6, and at that age, I wasn't smart enough to keep up to date with the latest gaming news on my own through the internet or something. I pretty much only knew of a game's existence if I saw it on TV or on store shelves or something. It wasn't until about age 10 or 11 I started actively following gaming news, but back then when I was ages 6 through 9, this was how I was able to stay up to date. I still remember watching the trailers for New Super Mario Bros. 2 and New Super Mario Bros. U over and over again and being crazy excited, but also depressed as shit because I thought I'd never be able to afford a Wii U or 3DS. Does anyone else remember that feeling of being slightly anxious when watching a trailer for a new game you were supposed to be hyped for, because you didn't have a disposable income and it was completely up in the air whether or not you would be able to get the system it was on anytime soon? Anyways, I even remember watching the trailers for the Wii U on this thing at the end of the Wii's life. The Nintendo channel was more than just trailers. It also had DS demos that you would download from the Wii to your DS through Download Play. I played a ton of Kirby Mass Attack and some Fossil game that I can't remember the name of. The next channel that came through use of the Wii Shop channel was the Check Me Out channel, and this was another fun one. This was a way of uploading your Me creations as well as checking out other people's, and you could even import the ones you like into the Me channel for you to use. It was so cool to me getting to see what other people were capable of creating through the Me channel. I remember this is how I got SpongeBob and Squidward and Hamburger. Someone even made an upside down head. It was insanity! The other portion of the Check Me Out channel was for contests. The contests would have descriptions such as a Me version of Princess Peach, or a Me on a Monday, and you'd have to make a Me that best fits that description and upload it for the world to see. People would then get to vote on which Me they thought was best. Yes, a segue! Speaking of voting, the Everybody Votes channel was a way to vote on various non-political polls such as, would you say your height is average or above/below average? Or, are you a country folk or a city slicker? Or, would you rather kill your mom or your dad? You then had the chance to guess which side you think had the most votes, and after a designated amount of time, the percentages would be revealed to the answers on the poll. This was always a fun little channel to come back to on the daily to see the latest polls. And those were the free channels available on Wii. Some didn't like all this extra garbage thrown on the Wii. They think that a game's responsibility should just be to play games. While I partially agree with this statement, I enjoyed all the extra goodies that Nintendo threw onto the Wii, especially as a kid. You know what else I enjoyed as a kid? Those sweet, sweet Wii games.
Come on. Come on.
So why is your name post-recording Aaron? Why isn't it something more straightforward like editing Aaron?
It's just the name I was born with. Also, pre-recording Aaron thought that editing Aaron was a little bit too on the nose.
recording, Aaron?
He writes the scripts and stuff.
So, is all of this scripted?
I don't know anymore. He's really heavy-handing these meta jokes.
Damn it! We were just playing games on this thing. Why would it turn back on?
It was just working a second ago. Why isn't it working now?
Gee, I don't know. Maybe it's because this clown f***ing walloped it like it owed him money.
Ooh, someone's getting cranky.
You ready for this? Have you tried plugging it in?
Come on. Oh shit, it's on!
Oh, whoopsie daisy.
Did you forget to censor something again?
What kind of games can this play?
Well, there's all sorts of games that we can play. The Wii's library is quite vast after all.
Who are you talking to?
The Wii had a massive library of games, 1,637 to be exact, and the quality ranged from absolute masterpiece to something even Satan is afraid of. It was a mixed bag for sure. There's a lot to talk about in terms of the Wii's library, but we couldn't possibly cover all of it, but we can at least go over the highlights. The Wii launched with a game you may or may not have heard of, Wii Sports. What a pack-in game it was, putting the Wii's motion controls on full display. It basically just serves as a tech demo as it's not one of the deepest games out there, but that doesn't stop it from being loads of fun to play with friends and family. There's 5 sports packed inside: tennis, baseball, bowling, golf, and boxing, and each one had different modes to choose from. Weirdly enough, this was the game that got most people to buy a Wii. This was a system seller. I've heard plenty of people that just got their Wii for Wii Sports and didn't get anything else. This was the game that started the motion control craze. It was so simple, but so much fun.
Wii Sports was so good. Do any sequels want to come to the Switch?
Me, I'll come to the Switch.
Alright, cool. Anyone else want to come? Please?
Wii Sports was definitely one of Nintendo's more casual-oriented games. Even though I think gamers and non-gamers alike were able to find enjoyment in it, it was still obviously in blue ocean territory. Wii Sports was so successful that it led to Nintendo creating a whole series of games called the Wii series, to capitalize on the demand for more casual gaming experiences. One of these more casual games was a direct sequel to Wii Sports called Wii Sports Resort. I already did an episode on this, but in case you missed it, Wii Sports Resort was an evolved version of Wii Sports that featured 12 sports, more advanced motion controls thanks to the Wii Motion Plus, and a tropical theme to tie it all together. It proved to be hugely successful by selling a whopping 33 million copies. Another Wii series game that was quite successful is Wii Play. This is another one you probably owned. It managed to sell over 28 million copies. This was due in large part to the fact that it came bundled with a Wii Remote and was priced at $50. Considering Wii Remotes only cost $40, it was one hell of a deal. I actually never owned this one as a kid. I remember this was the game that my older sister's friend would always bring over to my house to let me play when she came to visit my older sister. This was basically her way of keeping annoying 7-year-old me distracted so I didn't bother them while they were doing #teenage girl things. Kinda like keeping a rabid dog distracted with a chew toy. It did a good job keeping me occupied because it was some solid fun. Wii Play had 9 minigames packed inside, 8 of which revolved around using the Wii's pointer function, and the other one was bull riding where you just steer the bull by tilting the Wii Remote on its side. It was a pretty shallow minigame compilation, more so than the sports games, but it was still a good time to play with friends. Now you've probably at least heard of Wii Play, but did you know that it got a sequel in the same vein as Wii Sports Resort titled Wii Play Motion? This was similar to Wii Play in the sense that it was a minigame compilation, but now with a focus on the Wii Remote's gyro function thanks to the Wii Motion Plus requirement. All copies of the game came bundled with a Wii Remote Plus, and, like Wii Play, was priced at $50. This had to have been the most obscure game in the Wii series, not counting Wii Chess. Even though reception was generally better than Wii Play, it only sold around 1.12 million copies by the end of the system's life. That's about 1% of people that owned a Wii. It probably didn't sell as well as the others because of how late it came out in the Wii's life, releasing on June 13th, 2011 in North America. The motion control craze was really dying down at this point. And also the main draw of it being bundled with a Wii Remote wasn't as enticing because most people probably had enough Wii Remotes at that point. Even though it was a Wii Remote Plus, people just didn't care. Speaking of people not giving a shit, Wii Music was not only another obscure Wii series game, but a really bad one. This was announced and released in 2008, which was a time when core Nintendo fans were starving for some news on their more hardcore games. It wasn't received well. It didn't appeal to the hardcore Nintendo fans or even the casual crowd. The main concept of the game is that you swing the Wii Remote around to perform songs. Except there's no challenge to this because it's not exactly a rhythm game like Guitar Hero, because you don't have to time your swings at all. You just swing the Wii Remote any which way you please, and congratulations, you win! And did I mention the majority of the songs you can choose from are public domain? Holy f***, they got Yankee Doodle on here?! They can't even make up for the painfully shallow gameplay with good songs to choose from. You'd think that a game company that has composed some of the most iconic music in all of gaming would have a huge selection of video game songs to choose from. There are 7 Nintendo songs to choose from. Wii Fit and Wii Fit Plus were the games you probably caught your mom indulging in on more than one occasion. Wii Fit was basically a fitness-oriented minigame compilation that came bundled with the Wii Balance Board. The minigames involved you doing push-ups, jogging, and doing yoga-type exercises. This game was another smash hit for Nintendo. The game sold over 22 million copies. This fitness game, targeting people like mothers, outsold games like Super Mario Galaxy and Super Smash Bros. Brawl by around 10 million units. I know most of the Wii's casual games tend to do this, such as Wii Play, but in this case it's just crazy to me. Wii Fit Plus was the successor to Wii Fit that came with new activities, and it actually replaced Wii Fit on store shelves, so it was more of an expansion. The last notable game in the Wii series is Wii Party, a modest success compared to the others. It was basically another minigame compilation. There wasn't really a theme with this one, other than the fact that they were supposed to feel like party games, in the same vein as Mario Party. The game is the 10th best-selling game on the Wii, coming in at 9.35 million units sold. And that covers the Wii series games, the series that roped in a lot of non-gamers like moms and grandmas and grandpas, but plenty of Nintendo's core audience, including myself, had a blast with these games. But the Wii was more than just the Wii series. Plenty of Nintendo's long-running franchises got entries on the console to satisfy the die-hard fans. However, some of these games were injected with Nintendo's Blue Ocean strategy, meaning that Nintendo wanted to try to get the casual gamers in on these more quote-unquote advanced games. This could be through dumbing the gameplay down or by horseshoeing motion controls into it. In some cases it did negatively affect the quality, and sometimes it simply made the game more accessible and gave more people a chance to get in on these awesome games. Let's go down the highlights, shall we? Another one of the Wii's launch titles was The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, one of the most hyped up Zelda games of all time, sitting right up there with Breath of the Wild. The Wii may not have launched with a Mario game, but it did launch with Zelda, which is still huge. Coming after Wind Waker on the GameCube, an excellent but controversial Zelda release back in the day, people were frothing at the mouth to get their hands on this one. It's definitely one of the darker, more edgy Zeldas, which I thoroughly enjoy. Definitely a weird style considering it was released on the Wii, but people loved it. The game does feature motion controls, and I'm not sure if it was because it was released so early in the Wii's life, or if people just thought they weren't intrusive, or both. But no one seemed to mind their inclusion. The game wasn't built around them, they were more meant to supplement it. You shake the Wii Remote to swing your sword, and considering the fact that it was their launch day, people weren't burnt out on motion controls and were still fascinated by them. Little fun fact, you may notice that Link is right-handed in this game, and he has always been left-handed in the past Zelda games. This is because most people who play the game are right-handed, and because God fucking hates left-handed people, Link's sword was put in his right hand so that it better translates to right-handed people attacking by swinging the Wii Remote. Twilight Princess also released on the GameCube a few months later, and in that version, he is still left-handed. They changed him to right-handed in the Wii version by simply mirroring the entire game, so the two versions look quite different. A year after Twilight Princess, on November 1st, 2007, we got our first 3D Mario game on the Wii, being Super Mario Galaxy. This was the game that finally perfected 3D Mario. Super Mario 64 was their first 3D Mario, and it was a monumental achievement, and it laid the foundation for not just all 3D platformers, but 3D games in general. They somehow managed to get a lot right on their first try, but being Mario's first adventure in a 3D space, you have to admit it's a little rough around the edges, and while it's still incredible, it doesn't hold up super well today compared to other 3D Mario games. Next came Super Mario Sunshine, and some people might tell you that this was a step backwards, but a lot of that is due to the game being rushed, which left it with janky controls and random absurd difficulty spikes that makes you wonder if the developers were actually able to beat the game before they shipped it out. This brings us back to Mario Galaxy. Nintendo learned from their mistakes and made an absolute masterpiece of a Mario game. This game foregoed the more open sandbox style of 64 and Sunshine and created the first linear 3D Mario game. While I do prefer the sandbox style more, there were benefits to going with a linear design. For example, the pacing feels better in this game because the smaller, airtight levels allow for non-stop platforming action. This game also felt like the most creative Mario yet. There are so many different ideas thrown at you in terms of levels and platforming mechanics. A lot of this is because of the new gravity mechanic. Being able to run all around these little planetoids and platforms at a full 360 degrees and being able to hop from one planetoid to the next is awesome. And this hardly interferes with the controls either. There were almost no times I didn't feel in control of Mario. This new mechanic they brought in could have easily made controls awkward, but somehow this was still the best controlling 3D Mario at that point. Now that's just incredible. The soundtrack in this game is also splendid with that grand booming orchestra, which very nicely ties into the space theme, easily one of my favorite video game soundtracks. Around 3 years later, Nintendo blessed us with Super Mario Galaxy 2, which is just as good as the first. There was nothing major or mind-blowing added to this one, it was just more Super Mario Galaxy with a bunch of new levels and ideas. There were little things added such as Yoshi and new power-ups, but nothing that shook up the gameplay too much. This was the Galaxy game I played first and was also my first 3D Mario ever. The quality of the two Galaxy games is equal, but I do prefer the second one for nostalgic reasons alone. Also, Galaxy 2 has Lubba. I don't care what anyone says, Lubba is the best Mario character. Look at me, where's pants? I will defend this man with my life. Mario got another series on the Wii being Mario Kart Wii, and this is one of the games that got a little infected with the Blue Ocean stuff. You see, Mario Kart games have always been mostly skill-based, but used the items to factor luck in so that it was accessible to more people. The skill cap is pretty high so that a pro can drift around tight corners like it's nothing, but your 4-year-old brother Jimmy can find enjoyment because of the random element provided by the item blocks. Whether intentional or not, Mario Kart Wii was made even more accessible because the item balancing is what professional video game reviewers would refer to as complete and utter bullshit. You could be a total Mario Kart master, but little Jimmy will not stop fucking you in the ass with blue turtle shells from last place. Luck played a much bigger role in Mario Kart Wii compared to the other entries with more balanced items. A lot of people didn't like this Mario Kart for that reason, but for that reason, they really enjoy it in a different way than other Mario Karts. We currently have more balanced entries like Mario Kart 8 and Double Dash, but if I ever have an itch to play one that is more chaotic and one that I can get more people to play, I now have the option to play the more random luck-based Mario Kart Wii. And while Double Dash and 8 are my favorites, I enjoy Mario Kart Wii in its own special way. Mario Kart didn't just expand its audience with more random elements, it also brought in motion controls. Just like motion controls made sports and Wii Sports feel like the real deal, Mario Kart made racing feel like the real deal. It even came with a plastic wheel to pop your Wii remote into called the Wii Wheel. This is an example of motion controls on the Wii done right because they were not at all required. You always had the option of going back to a traditional control system, which made it appeal to both types of people. Because Mario Kart Wii was able to appeal to casual players too, it was another sales juggernaut, moving a whopping 37 million units, the second best-selling game on the system. Another game that sold fairly well was Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Part of one of the most beloved fighting series of all time, Brawl was probably the most hyped up Smash game for two reasons. For one, people were still coming off of the buzz from Melee, a game that many people will tell you is the pinnacle of the series, and they were eager for the next big thing. The other reason was the bombshell announcement that Solid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series was joining the roster, opening the door for a ton of other potential third-party characters to be a part of the game. It was set up to be the greatest Smash game yet, and I think you know how that turned out. Brawl isn't exactly looked back on as fondly as other Smash games. Most people that love it mostly love it for nostalgic reasons. I can't speak much on the game's quality because I haven't played much of it, I mainly played 4 and Ultimate. But I can tell you that the game was horribly balanced. If you like winning, all you have to do is play Meta Knight. I don't think Smash benefits from being unbalanced like Mario Kart quite as much, it's not that kind of game. People of the competitive community weren't too fond of Brawl, but it did have some redeeming qualities. The big one was Subspace Emissary, the best single player mode in any Smash game. Or so I've been told. It also has a ton of unlockables like trophies, which is my favorite part of any Smash game. Next up, we got a game that could appeal to both sides of the Wii's install base, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the second in the new Super series, and the first 2D Mario on a home console in almost 2 decades. This was before the new Super series was growing stale, and most people enjoyed it back when it came out in 2009. It sold quite well at over 30 million units. And how could I forget about Animal Crossing City Folk, the third entry in the Animal Crossing series released in 2008 in North America. City Folk introduced the city, which is a separate area where you can find more shops and other things to do. Some people don't like the city because they don't like having shops disconnected from the rest of the village, but I always prefer this style because it allows for more places to visit without overstuffing the village area. My biggest gripe with New Horizons is that it doesn't have this feature and there are significantly less shops in that game. City Folk isn't looked back on as an incredible Animal Crossing, but it was definitely a solid entry. Would you believe me if I told you that the Wii, the casual-oriented console, got not 1, but 2 Zelda games? Probably because I mentioned it like 3 times at this point. Skyward Sword. This game has quite a few issues, I don't know if you heard. I will remind you that I have not played this one yet, so the following criticisms are not my own, but the most common ones I see from other people. The big issue was those motion controls. While Twilight Princess had motion controls supplement the gameplay, Skyward Sword full-on embraced them, and it did not do the game any favors. Motion controls are never going to be the most reliable input method, even with the Wii Motion Plus, and when you tie just about every action in the game to them, it does not work well. Especially since certain instances in the game have you swing the remote in very specific directions. You're probably gonna let out more than a few fucks as you struggle with the jankiness. And then there's the linearity. Zelda's up until that point have always been linear, but this game takes it too far. It is way too straightforward. There's also all sorts of little things like Fi being more annoying than those random sudden chest pains you get throughout the day. And there's also the fact that every time you pick up an item after opening up the game, it'll explain to you what the item is, even if you've already picked up the item before. It is a Zelda game at the end of the day, so you're going to have some solid fun with it. But look anywhere online and the vast majority of people will tell you that it's their least favorite 3D Zelda. And that's all the major releases on the Wii, but there were plenty of smaller ones, which we will go through in rapid succession. Mario Party 8 and Mario Party 9. 8 was an okay entry in the series, and 9 introduced the car mechanic that everyone hated where everyone moves together on the board. I didn't realize how bad it was because I was a kid when I played it and it was also my first Mario Party. Mario Strikers and Mario Sluggers, 2 excellent Mario sports games, nothing too deep, just some casual fun. Mario Power Tennis ported from the GameCube with added motion control. Pikmin and Pikmin 2 also with motion controls, the only way to play Pikmin. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption and Metroid Prime Trilogy. Metroid games just play better with motion controls. There's also Punch-Out, Big Brain Academy Wii Degree, Pokemon Battle Revolution, Wario Land Shake It, WarioWare Smooth Moves, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Pokepark 2, Xenoblade, Super Paper Mario, Kirby's Epic Yarn, Metroid Other M, Donkey Kong Returns. This game had so many games of varying quality, it was insane. 1,637 games in total. With a number like that, there's no way that they were all quality. In fact, the majority of them are like my talking skills with the opposite sex. Dog shit. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to shovelware. The random cheap and low quality garbage released onto popular systems in hopes of making a quick buck. The Wii was a prime target for this stuff because, number 1, 102 million people had one, and number 2, the Wii's main demographic was people that didn't know any better than to buy this trash. Not all shovelware games were terrible, but the fact that they were incredibly cheap and rushed meant that the quality definitely wasn't a guarantee with these things. They plagued the Wii's library. The majority of it was made up of shovelware. Overall, the Wii's library was a wide spectrum of quality. Some of the greatest video games of all time released here, and also some of the worst. At least most of the Nintendo published stuff was at the very least pretty good. At the end of the day, the Wii was a very interesting system to say the least. Throughout its entire life, it was Nintendo at its best and its worst. They succeeded in getting all sorts of people into playing video games, whether it just be for the Wii's life or making them permanent gaming fans. They also struggled a bit when they took the gimmick of motion controls too far or focused on casual play in places that they shouldn't have, but as a whole, I love the Wii. It may not be my favorite, or my second favorite, but I will always cherish the memories it helped create with friends and family. And I also will always appreciate it for introducing all sorts of people to the world of video games. The Wii truly was incredible.
See? Can't believe I'm actually saying this. But Aaron was right. This Wii is pretty great.
Now that's the magic of the Wii. Bringing in people that normally wouldn't be into this kind of stuff.
Well, boys, at this point, I can officially say that I am now a gamer.
Jesus Christ, apparently I need to start editing the scripts too. Alright, I'm done recording.
Alright, a new Aaron's Game Hub working title episode. Can't wait to check it out.
Oh, you're in for a real treat.
Alright, a new Aaron's Game Hub working title episode. Can't wait to check it out.
Oh, you're in for a real treat.
I am so confused.
It's okay.
Can we get to the end screen, you know, the one with the credits and the video links?
I think our audience is about to have an aneurysm. Aaron, can you say the thing? Farewell, my friends.